Well, it's another episode of Late Night Lombardi. We're past 11 p.m. Guys, I left Levi's today at 10 p.m. There's a big piece dropping in the morning on an unheralded 49er who definitely deserves a lot of recognition. I'm not going to spill the beans. I'll make a video about him tomorrow. But if you check out The Athletic in the morning at 5 a.m. Pacific time, you're going to see this piece. That's what I was in the office burning the midnight oil for. Well, technically not. The midnight oil is still 57 minutes away, but we'll go ahead and burn it with this video. January 27th. It's the day today. A monumental day or an inflection point for this season's 49ers. We saw so much happen today, considering the fact there wasn't even a game. But early on, especially starting with Deebo Samuel's tweet, there was an outpouring of team support for Jimmy Garoppolo, which I thought showed that there was a clear galvanization today of the 49ers team. I mean, this is an us against the world kind of mentality that we're seeing coming out of this building. And then Jordan Willis spoke a little bit later, and I'm going to go through his quote, which was a sensational one from the Packers game and a good story. But Bill Walsh's spirit of abundance is living on in these 49ers, which makes me ask, is this a team of destiny? Because I think on this day, January 27th, I think a lot of people started to feel this. I was in the building today. I was talking to these players today. I was working on this big story, and I've been there for months now, and obviously years if you go back to the start of the Shanahan era in 2017. But just this season, we've been there for months, and you feel kind of the ebbs and flows of how things are working, and the vibe coming from the 49ers players, the galvanization of the team, which we'll get into right here in a second with details. It all has me thinking there's something special. And that's very promising considering the fact that the NFC title game is on Sunday against the Rams. So first things first, let's just go through the practice report really quickly. I have a nice video up from practice that we could actually watch right now just to see what all was going on today. George Kittle catching some passes early on. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance were both throwing. Did you guys know that Dre Greenlaw was a lefty? And Dre Greenlaw can throw a little bit. He was tossing the ball around there with Fred Warner. There's the 49ers brass. Lynch, Shanahan, and Robbie Gould. Chris Kasarik. That's the heartbeat of the team, I feel, the defensive line. Emmanuel Mosley looking healthy, getting some sled work. And then here, Trey Lance catches a pass, or tries to at the start of every practice, and this time he dropped it. He wasn't very happy about it, and neither was Jimmy Garoppolo, who signaled incomplete. And he's like, what the heck, man? Catch the ball. And then just early warm-ups. Take a look at Kevin Givens, Charles Omenihu, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Trey Lance worked on some rollouts to the naked side today. That's Garoppolo's try at it, and here comes Trey Lance, who the fans obviously like to see move around like this. So that was 49ers practice today. That's all that we'll look at for now. And I'm going to show you guys this in a little bit. That's funny. But first, we're going to look at this Jordan Willis quote. So this, to me, was remarkable. We didn't know this story until today. But Jordan Willis obviously was the hero for the 49ers coming out of Green Bay on special teams. He blocked the punt that allowed the 49ers a chance to tie the game with the fumble, obviously. It was rolling around, and Talanoa Hufanga picked it up. And earlier in the game, Jordan Willis also executed an arm chop instead of a bull rush on a field goal rush that allowed Jimmy Ward a lane to block the Packers field goal. So Jordan Willis, a player who really, I'm sure most fans hadn't heard of entering this season, was a hero for the 49ers, really just coming out of nowhere in Green Bay. But for a reason that we didn't know, he chose not to come up to the press conference podium at Lambeau Field after the game. Normally, a player who doesn't get a lot of shine, who makes a massive play on the NFL playoff level, will want to get some exposure for himself. It's a good business proposition. He could go out there. You've seen Mike McDaniel, the 49ers offensive coordinator, how much his name is blown up just because he does press conferences. Well, you'd think that Jordan Willis would want to do a press conference after the Green Bay game, but he didn't. And today he finally did a press conference over Zoom. And he was asked why he didn't do that post-game press conference. And his answer lent serious insight into this 49ers locker room. So I quote Jordan Willis: "I just didn't want to be taking all the praise for a team effort because this whole year has had such ups and downs for the team. So even though in that moment I was graced with the opportunity to block the punt, I don't want that to go down as the reason that we're sitting where we are. A lot of people have persevered to get here. All the work that the coaches have put in and night out, week in and week out, all the criticism Coach Shanahan has taken, all the criticism Jimmy Garoppolo has taken, all the criticism some of our top players on defense have taken. And they've all worked hard to dig us up out of this mess. I just didn't want one play to be a defining moment for all the hard work that this organization has put in to be where we are." WOW. Wow. I mean, this is a defensive end that's at the back part of the 49ers room. I mean, he's defensive end number 7, 8, or 9, right? They've got 9 guys that are active usually for each game. And Jordan Willis definitely isn't in the top half of that. He was Mr. Forgotten Man over the first 6 games of this season while he was serving the performance-enhancing drug suspension. And we don't even know the details behind that. That could have been, a raw deal. A lot of times it is. A lot of times these guys accidentally take a supplement and then they test positive. I guarantee you, most of the time, these guys aren't knowingly doing stuff that they know is going to get them in trouble, because he lost a lot of money. He lost a lot of game checks in those first 6 weeks. But still, I mean, Jordan Willis was off the radar. Jordan Willis was acquired for a 7th-round pick swap in 2020. Think of the value that the 49ers have gotten, not only for Jordan Willis and acquiring him, but for a guy like Charles Omenihu, who cost a 6th-round pick. I mean, the amount of sheer developable talent that the 49ers are getting at the margin, in the defensive line room especially, has been crazy. But then Jordan Willis turned into a hero at Green Bay, and then he steps up and says something like this: "The most revelatory comment of the past, I don't know, decade of 49ers football." I wasn't covering the team yet when Jim Harbaugh was the coach, and I'm sure somebody said something about the locker room then, who's got it better than us, or, whatever the culture then was. I was following the 49ers at the time. But it would be hard to beat what we just heard today from Jordan Willis, combined with all the other stuff that's happening, the outpouring for Jimmy Garoppolo, who's been taking a lot of unfounded and unfair criticism, and obviously the situation here where nobody wants to take individual credit because they'd rather have the team get full credit. And that's why I ask, is this a team of destiny? Because the 49ers are actually behaving in a way that they are greater than the sum of their collective parts. And that is the first step to being assigned that tag, that team of destiny tag. I mean, so many of you are probably baseball fans too. So many of you probably watched the San Francisco Giants in 2010, 2012, and 2014. And obviously that team was greater than the sum of its parts. And I've talked about 49ers football being torture, because that is a direct link, I think, as far as emotions go, to those Giants teams of last decade. And they're winning in similar ways, right? They're winning by torturing you toward the end of the games, but they're clutch. They're able to find a way to get the job done. And they do it because they believe in each other late in these games. You don't go into Lambeau Field and win in an ice storm against a team that's favored against you while trailing in the fourth quarter unless you have some kind of bond with your teammates. And I know I shared this the other day, but it's worth bringing back right now. Steve Young talked about this in 2018. I was actually just texting with him about this, and he fully agrees with the spirit of abundance and the fact that it applies to the current 49ers. And this was prescient to me. I'm going to type this in right now to search for this part of the article. Here it is. He talked about how Bill Walsh, aside from revolutionizing the passing game with his timing-based West Coast offense, Walsh put an emphasis on locker room integration that Young said was unusually intense for its time. He was all about socioeconomic, geographic, religion, race, all kinds of integration, Young said. He would break those down among players and coaches so you could look at each other on 3rd and 10, down by 3 in the cold, drizzling rain in Green Bay, and integrate. You had a heart with each other. I mean, he's literally using Green Bay and being able to drive in the cold. I guess it was snowy. It wasn't raining in this game, but he's literally talking about Lambeau Field being the measuring stick to see how integrated a locker room and a team is. And this was in 2018. It was almost like it was meant to be. So 4 years after Steve Young said this, the 49ers did face 3rd and 10, down by 3 in the cold of Green Bay, in that snow globe of Green Bay, and they did have a heart with each other. And we talk about having that beating, unified heart. Well, Jordan Willis offered further insight into that. These guys are playing for each other, literally, which is why I say that this really might be a team of destiny. Now, what's gotten them playing with each other, playing for each other? Well, this was shared by somebody on Twitter in my mentions. And I think I have to find the original tweet to find the text to make this funnier. But basically, his point was that 49ers fans had talked so much crap about their own team on Twitter. They said, Garoppolo sucks. Ayuk is in the doghouse. Fire Shanahan. We should have signed Tom Brady. And then, below that text, he put this. He put the Michael Jordan. And I took that personally. And to me, it really seems that the 49ers have taken all of the slights, all of the criticism, so much of it has been unwarranted. We've gone over this. I wrote a whole piece on Eric Armstead this week about how much unwarranted criticism he's faced. Jimmy Garoppolo has obviously faced a ton of unwarranted criticism. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is a solidly good quarterback, but people act like he's a bottom guy in the league, which is just categorically untrue. A lot of them, premier defensive players on this team outside of Eric Armstead and D'Amico Ryans were taking unwarranted criticism in the middle of this season because people didn't understand context. There's criticism that's fair, and then there's criticism that goes so far above the line that it's obvious that people are doing it just to seem cool on social media so they can get clicks. If I sat here bashing Jimmy Garoppolo every day and saying that the 49ers should fire Kyle Shanahan every day, I would have a lot more followers and a lot more YouTube subscriptions than I currently do. But you have to treat this fairly. And I don't think that the 49ers were treated particularly fairly by a lot of the media this year and by a lot of social media this year. And they took it personally. And that's what we're seeing right now. And they took it personally, but they took it in a classy way. And I think it goes back to the individuals that they have on this team. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have done a great job building a locker room full of players that match the personality that they want, that A, will vibe with other players, but B, will allow the 49ers to persevere through this kind of adversity that they saw this year. And that's why you've seen this team torture all of its fans throughout all these elimination games, but hold together even when it was just hanging by a thread. And they've gotten to the point now where they're a win away from the Super Bowl. So it's a beautiful thing. It is an echo of franchise history, of the spirit of abundance that Bill Walsh instilled. And I'm happy to open this up to questions right now. All right, guys, let's ask them. There's a ton of comments, and I still haven't seen the first. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo criticism is not well deserved. It's ridiculous and absolutely stupid at this point to not be able to differentiate what is deserved criticism and what is not. And in the case of Jimmy Garoppolo, you had a top 10 quarterback this year, efficiency-wise, easily a top 10 quarterback. His job was to execute Kyle Shanahan's scheme, and that's what he did. The quarterback plan for the 49ers couldn't have ended up any better than it actually did. And Garoppolo just outplayed Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, and Aaron Rodgers in back-to-back weeks, hurt with a torn ligament in his thumb. If you're still on the train of pounding criticism into Jimmy Garoppolo over and over again, it's very clear that you haven't played a sport before in your life. It's very clear that you don't understand how difficult it is to play in an ice storm in Lambeau Field. this is a problem with the 49ers fan base. I'm not afraid to call them out. I don't know if it's complex that's existed, ever since the Joe Montana and Steve Young thing, but there is never an appreciation for what the 49ers actually have at the quarterback position. And here's what's probably going to happen, right? Based on what's going on right now. The keys will probably be handed over to Trey Lance next season. And just watch how quickly a lot of these critics will turn on Trey Lance. The shiny new object right now that everybody wanted to see this year. They had no idea what they were talking about all season when they thought that he was going to start. But the shiny new object that everybody wanted to see, let's get rid of the old toy there, Garoppolo. Let's go to Trey Lance. People are going to turn on him too. And I know that's part of the nature of the NFL. I know that, there's this constant frustration with the quarterback position because the guys make the most money. They get, a lot of the jealousy is directed at that position. I think a lot of that vitriol, the negative side of, our natures, when we talk about fans, is directed that way. But it gets excessive. It really does. It got excessive with Jimmy Garoppolo. There's measured criticism. I delivered it this year. I had articles about his regression before week 8, and then I came out and I talked about how he improved after that. But what we've seen lately about Jimmy Garoppolo is not warranted and is not well-deserved. And you are completely wrong if you think that it is. And that's why this 49ers locker room has been galvanized. There's no debate about this. This is the truth. And you can see how the 49ers have responded to this. All right, more questions. That's not even a question. I just had to address a comment that definitely is not the truth. Let's see right here. Oh, this is a good one. I like this. In my opinion, who's better, Jimmy Garoppolo or Alex Smith? This is a really, really interesting question. Garoppolo, over the course of his career, has been compared to Alex Smith, even though they are fundamentally different types of players. Garoppolo has never been a check down guy. Alex Smith was always a check down game manager guy. Garoppolo was an aggressive quarterback, even though he doesn't throw particularly long passes. But the windows that Garoppolo tries to attack over the middle of the field are so tight sometimes. I mean, sometimes even a little too tight, I think, for Kyle Shanahan's liking. And his interception rate is obviously higher than Alex Smith's ever was, especially after Smith developed. That, it makes them... There have obviously been parallels in their career. They've both been 49ers quarterbacks. They've both been veteran quarterbacks with a hotshot rookie behind them on the roster, but they're fundamentally different types of quarterbacks. It's hard to call Jimmy Garoppolo a gunslinger because he's not throwing the ball 30 or 40 yards downfield, but he is taking risks over the middle of the field with a high interception rate. Now, those risks turn into big-time plays more often than not, right? His efficiency is good, especially when he's healthy. But I think that compared to Alex Smith, who was the safer option, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a different option. And we'll just see where this season ends up. But Alex Smith never took a team past the conference championship game. Remember, he lost to the New York Giants in that 2011 season. Would he have taken those 2012 49ers, who might have been even more talented, to the Super Bowl? Maybe, but Colin Kaepernick was already the quarterback by then. So Smith definitely had a ceiling that was short of Super Bowl contention, right? We'll see where Garoppolo's is, because we can't rule out Jimmy Garoppolo taking the 49ers all the way this year. But Garoppolo is a very misunderstood quarterback, because the second that somebody throws that game manager label on him, well, you can't be a game manager when you throw picks 2.7% of the time. That interception rate is high. And he would be benched if he was throwing picks 2.7% of the time without getting anything out of it on the opposite end, right? It's a double-edged sword. Aggressiveness leads to interceptions, but also, should lead to efficiency in the positive realm for the offense. And Garoppolo obviously does get that positive efficiency. That's not a game manager's profile that Garoppolo has. He's a unique quarterback that's hard to fit into a bucket of categorization. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's so polarizing. The other reason being that, 49ers fans are just insane a lot of the time when it comes to the quarterback position. Jonathan Quarry asks what the final score on Sunday will be. I want to pop this one up right here. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, I would love to meet you at SoFi for a drink. Just let me know where, and we'll make it happen. You guys can put where in the comments section. I'm going to have my girlfriend's going to be at the game. Two of my best friends are going to be at the game. They'll be in the stands. I'll be in the press box. So I can't drink alcohol, but they'll want to drink beers with you, but I could come and say hi. So that will be fun. Final score prediction. The 49ers are better than the Rams. They're tougher than the Rams. This is one that Vegas has wrong. This is, it's played out 6 straight times. It's played out twice this season. The 49ers and the Rams have played 9 quarters of football. The 49ers have dominated 7 of them. You have the Rams right now trying to talk themselves into being physical. Right? All these press conferences, we're going to put them in a body bag today. We're going to make it different. They got us last time. You don't talk yourself into being physical. That's something that's developed culturally and in the weight room and on the practice field over years and a long time. So the Rams can't just go from being this glitz and glam Hollywood team that's, buys players essentially in the middle of the season that are effective against other NFL teams and then walk in against a 49ers team that zags while everybody else is zigging. They can't just expect to see success. And that's why they've lost to the 49ers several straight times. And that's why I think they're going to lose on Sunday. The one caveat is if Trent Williams doesn't play, this game becomes a whole much more of a toss-up than I think if he does play. I think it's a 75% chance the 49ers win if Trent Williams is playing. I would say it's 50-50 if he's not. But if I have to predict the final score, let's say that Trent Williams is able to tough it out and he's able to play. I think the 49ers win this game 28-23. Funky score. That's going to be where we go. All right. More questions. I'm scrolling through more of them. I'm still looking. Come on, guys. There's not a lot of questions here. A lot of arguments, not a lot of questions. I'm going to have to start posting comments. Sorry, there's so many. I didn't mean to skip anybody. How many TDs has Garoppolo thrown in the playoffs so far? Well, he hasn't thrown any in the playoffs so far, right? Dallas. That was Elijah Mitchell that scored. In Green Bay, he didn't throw any. You know who also didn't throw any touchdowns in the playoffs this year? Aaron Rodgers. You know who else isn't playing in the playoffs anymore this year? Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. So I think that's what matters a little bit more than raw statistic here with the quarterback position. That Alex Smith question was good. I just want to see a few more down here. Yeah, this is a good one from Matt Ramirez. R.I.P. Josh Allen. I didn't mean to put that one up there. I like Josh Allen. He might be my favorite quarterback in the league. He's comes from the 5.59. Guys, I'm from the Central Valley, so I have to stand up for my guy Josh Allen. But he is out of the playoffs, so. Do you think that Kittle hasn't been targeted because they need to max protect Jimmy Garoppolo? I think that's part of the reason. And I think the 49ers are going to run a lot of max protect again against the Rams on Sunday because they always run max protect when they play the Rams because the Rams have a good pass rush. And especially if both of those 49ers starting tackles are out, Trent Williams is not available on top of Mike McGlinchey and you have to start McKivitz at left tackle and Compton at right tackle. Well, you better keep Kittle back in the max protect. The 49ers are the NFL's most efficient offense when running max protect this year, by the way. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes, Kittle is sacrificing receiving stats, but when he does that, more often than not, it works. Now, ironically, Jimmy Garoppolo tore his thumb ligament on a play that they were running max protect in Tennessee when that sack happened in the second quarter. So it doesn't come without risk for the quarterback, but I do think that maybe some of Kittle's numbers aren't as big in the receiving game because he is being asked to pass protect a lot to help out a 49ers offensive line that, we'll be honest, it leaves something to be desired in pass protection. All right, so there are a couple of questions here that I'm going to get to. How would you compare this team to the last two 49ers teams that made the Super Bowl, 2013 and 2019? This is a great question. I was thinking about it in the car on the way home. A lot of people, were kind of snarky and they're kind of like, oh, because I was talking early in the season, this 2021 team has talent that's similar to the 2019 team. And people after the 49ers lost a couple games, like, oh, you're a homer, blah, blah, blah. They didn't really have that talent. What are you talking about? Well, I could be snarky right back right now. I'm about to say that, yeah, this 2021 team is different than the 2019 team. They're better than the 2019 team because they're battle hardened now. You have similar talent as 2019, but I know you lost Buckner, but you added Alex Mack at center. You have a veteran quality center. That's huge for the offense. You added Brandon Ayuk. You added Jawan Jennings. I mean, you got studs on that offense now, and I think that Jimmy Garoppolo, he's been better than in 2019. Garoppolo's learned the system. He's been pushed by Trey Lance. You have Lance in there at practice, and Lance, obviously, quarterback room insulation is nice. And it's all, really turned into a situation where the 49ers have taken that 2019 team and made a version 2.0. Now, they didn't get to 2.0. They had to regress to version 0.5. They went from 1.0 to 0.5, but they're approaching 2.0 because I think at this point now, with a deeper defensive line, they are better equipped to beat a team like Kansas City. They're better equipped to beat teams like the Rams, although they beat the Rams in 2019 twice, but that was the Goff Rams. That wasn't the Stafford Rams. But to me, I think this 49ers team has gelled into a more impressive unit than the 2019 team. And I think that's going to be evident in this NFC Championship game if Trent Williams plays. I think Trent Williams is such a big part of what the 49ers are trying to do. I mean, they're even running him in motion now. The guy's, he might kill somebody the next time he does that, but I think the 49ers will be okay with it. So I think this team is going to be better than the 2019 team, but I still think it's a work in progress. And every single one of these games is like a trial by fire that forges the steel to be even harder. So I'm super impressed by the 49ers and the strides they've made, but I think that I do think that this will end up being the team that they look back on in the Shanahan era and be like, well, okay, this was truly the first one. I don't know if they're going to get it done, but this one I think is better than 2019 because they've been through more than that 2019 team. Now 2013, that's Harbaugh era stuff. During COVID, in 2020, I wrote a comparison article, and 2012 is a better comparison because that was the best team of the Harbaugh era. 2013 didn't even make the Super Bowl. 2012 was better. And I came to the conclusion that 2012 was the better team over 2019. But, I mean, it's all going to depend now when we throw 2021 into the mix. It's all going to depend on how far they make it. I mean, if they lose this weekend, then it's like, okay, they lost an NFC Championship game. But if they get to that Super Bowl and they win it, all of a sudden, we're going to be making comparisons against 81, 84, 88, 89, and 94. And boy, would that be exciting for the 49ers? Good questions. That's my fear. If Jimmy wins the Super Bowl and we let him go, why are we so confident that we can run it back with Lance? Well, this is just fans talking. That's not the 49ers talking. Randy Cross, longtime NFL center, I mean, played all over the offensive line for the 49ers, came on and said that it'd be insane to let Jimmy Garoppolo go if the 49ers won the Super Bowl, and I think you have to agree with him. People won't. People are going to be mad. And I've talked to other people with very high spots in the NFL of a lot of stature in the league who are going to be in the Hall of Fame that have said the same thing. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl with Garoppolo, they have to keep him. Now, will they keep him if they win the Super Bowl? I don't know. The 49ers are going to make that decision, I think, after the season. There are salary cap considerations that might discourage them from doing so. But if they don't, after a Super Bowl win, it will be a very, very ballsy move from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, effectively saying our system can get this done over individual players. And that usually does not work at any level of professional sports. You're seeing why Garoppolo and why the 49ers collection of talent and personalities in the locker room is so valuable right now. And it's because personalities galvanize teams. Personalities allow teams, and A-level talent allows teams to perform in the biggest situations. And if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, well, they're going to have a personality and they're going to have A-level talent at the quarterback position that's already gotten the job done, that's won the ball. I mean, there's a reason why Tom Brady essentially forced the Patriots to trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers, because he won that Super Bowl in 2017. And the Patriots said, well, I mean, we got to keep it going with Tom Brady. So it depends on how it shakes out. Depends on, A, if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, and B, how they win the Super Bowl. But the main thing is, I don't think they're making a decision on anything until after the season, because they're a smart organization. And a smart organization is not going to be sitting on social media trying to take advice from fans with, no profile picture, little eggs on Twitter, the little egg avatar. And, people think then are trying to pressure the 49ers into making a call sooner rather than later, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen until after the season. So we can sit back and wait. But I do know what Randy Cross said today, and I really respect Randy Cross. I mean, he knows what Joe Montana and Steve Young was like. He was with the 49ers in those years, and he said if they win the Super Bowl, they're keeping Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes out to fruition. I think it would be a good problem to have, right? It wouldn't be something that the 49ers mind. All right. We have Todd Anderson. He has a super chat tip. The handoff and the naked bootleg to the left. Jimmy plays out after the handoff is so open every time. He could run it anywhere on the field and run it in one-legged and blindfolded and score. Well, maybe we should hope that the Rams aren't watching this YouTube live. We have quite a few viewers on right now. Hopefully Raheem Morris is not watching for the 49ers' sake. But yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the 49ers do send Jimmy Garoppolo on a run into the end zone. I mean, he scored twice with his legs in Chicago, so we'll see. Will activating Sanu be a great under-the-radar move? Will he make a key play? Well, remember that Jawan Jennings is playing good football right now, although he did drop Garoppolo's really nice pass against the Packers. And consider the fact that, Jennings was really, really effective against the Rams in Week 17. It's going to come down to how well, these guys are blocking, especially if the 49ers don't have Trent Williams. If it's McKivitz and if it's Tom Compton, the 49ers are going to want to have a really, really run-heavy game plan. So if they think that Jennings is going to do a better job blocking than Mohamed Sanu, then you go with Jennings. Maybe you activate both of them. I don't know, but then you'd have to take something else away from another part of the roster. So, we'll see who's inactive and who's active, but Sanu is an option. And I think, again, maybe something that the 49ers won't decide until the very end of this week, which is coming up. It's already Thursday. We're not too far away from the weekend of the NFC Championship game. All right, guys. Everybody make sure that you subscribe. This would be awesome. I always forget to mention that, but we just crossed 10,000 subscribers a little bit earlier today, which was awesome. And we were at like 5,000 a few days ago. We've gone from 5 to 10 really quickly. So at this rate, we'll be at 20, 30, 40, 50,000 if this keeps on blowing up. And the more this blows up, the more film breakdowns I could do. I know I didn't do any today, but you could see some of the other stuff in this channel. I was doing some film breakdowns with all 22 from the end zone angle earlier this week. We had Armstead, we had Jimmy Garoppolo, nice Brandon Ayuk one. So subscribe right now if you're watching, and there's going to be a lot more good content. The channel is growing very fast. All right, guys. This is about it for me. It's late. I'm going to answer one more question here from Jonathan Quarry, if it is a question. Out of all the NFC championships the 49ers have lost, which one feels like the one that really got away? You can't choose the Roger Craig fumble. Well, I'm writing something about this right now. It's going to come out on Sunday morning on The Athletic, so be ready for it. But they lost in 83 when Ronnie Lott had a pass interference after Joe Montana brought the 49ers back from a 21-0 deficit. They lost to Washington 24-21. That wasn't their first NFC title loss. The first one came in the early 70s. They lost 14-3 to Dallas, but I don't think that one got away. It wasn't until the playoffs the next year where they blew the lead to Dallas at Candlestick. So obviously they won 81. They lost 83 to Washington. Roger Craig is the one you're talking about in 1990. That's probably the popular choice. 92 lost to the Cowboys. That was Charles Haley on the Dallas team. Jimmy Johnson out scheming the 49ers on that really wet turf at Candlestick. But, I mean, I think Dallas was just better in 92 and 93. You had the Green Bay Packers come in, right, and beat the 49ers in 97. Yeah, that was the 97 season. That was the NFC title game. That one got away from the 49ers because if they had Jerry Rice, who got hurt that year twice, he got hurt once, came back, re-injured himself. If they had Jerry Rice, I think they beat the Packers that year. The Kyle Williams game in 2011, that one got away from the 49ers. I mean, the week after beating the Saints, that was rough. And then obviously Kaepernick made a huge, huge error when he forced the ball to Michael Crabtree and Richard Sherman got the tip and Malcolm Smith got the interception. 49ers had a lot of time left on the clock. There was no reason to force that ball into the end zone in 2013. So out of all those, God, that Seattle game to me, because that one is freshest in my memory, that was a big, big missed opportunity for the 49ers. I feel that one did get away. Yeah, but there have been a lot of them. The 49ers have played in more conference championship games than any other team in NFL history. I believe they played in 17. This will be their 17th, which will be more than even the Pittsburgh Steelers. So shows you how illustrious this franchise's history is. I'm sure there will be plenty of nerves on Sunday and before then because of how much there is going to be on the line before then. But and then how much there is going to be on the line then. Before then, there's not anything on the line. Just Twitter arguments. But then when that happens on Sunday, it's going to be crazy. And I don't blame anybody for being anxious about this game because it's going to be a big one. LA and San Francisco for the second time during this sporting cycle. We had the Giants and the Dodgers in the postseason. Now we have the 49ers and the Rams. All right, guys, good stuff. If there's any more questions, one catches my eye, I'll answer it. But if not, it's time to get to bed. All right, check out my article tomorrow morning. Big one coming out on an unheralded 49er who really deserves it. You guys are all awesome. Thank you. Subscribe now. We'll talk to you all soon. It's been another episode of Late Night Lombardi. We'll be making many more soon. And thanks again to everybody. We have crossed 10,000, which was a really cool milestone today. All right, good night.